and welcome back. Today we're diving into something really, really fascinating. It's all about AI and how it's changing how we code. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this concept called a local code review copilot.
Oh, yeah.
It's based on a technical article that breaks down how to actually build one of these things.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. Just imagine, like, you're coding away and you have this AI assistant right there on your computer, like right next to you,
Yeah.
helping you catch those pesky bugs, making sure your code is clean and top-notch.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing concept, especially for people who, work with sensitive data
Yeah,
and might not want to send it to the cloud or something like that.
exactly. That's one of the big things we're going to be digging into. But before we even get into how this all works, I think it's important to understand the why. Like, why is this even necessary? We all know code review is important, right?
Right.
But let's be honest, it can be a bit of a pain sometimes.
It can be a huge time sink,
Yeah.
for sure.
So what are some of the issues with the traditional way we do code reviews that make this whole AI assistant idea so appealing?
Well, just think about the senior developers.
Hmm.
All the time they're spending just poring over code, line by line. That's valuable time they could be spending on more complex tasks, right?
Mm.
Like designing new systems or mentoring junior developers.
Right, yeah.
And even with the best intentions, human reviewers, well, we're human.
Yeah.
We have inconsistencies. We're tired, maybe there's a deadline looming,
Oh, yeah.
and the quality of our feedback suffers.
That's so true. We all have those days where our brains just aren't firing on all cylinders.
Exactly.
So I can definitely see how an AI could bring some consistency,
For sure.
maybe even more efficiency to the process.
Efficiency, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, big time. And the source material actually highlights some key benefits like, saving developer time and improving the quality of the code base.
Yeah, I saw that.
It even suggests that this AI copilot could be a learning tool for less experienced developers.
That's a great point.
But how exactly does it save time? Like, what's the mechanism there?
Think about it this way. When a human reviewer is reviewing code, they spend a significant amount of time just trying to understand the logic of the code,
Right.
checking for basic errors. The AI, it can do that much faster,
Okay.
freeing up that human reviewer to focus on the more nuanced aspects of the code,
Gotcha.
like design choices or potential performance bottlenecks.
So it's like,
Yeah, man,
having a second set of eyes.
Exactly.
But those eyes are just super fast.
Super fast, never get tired.
Okay, so speed and consistency, those are definitely big pluses.
Huge pluses.
But what about the learning aspect? You mentioned that. How could this copilot actually help developers improve their skills?
So this is cool because the AI can give real-time feedback, pointing out potential issues as the developer is writing the code, suggesting improvements even.
Oh, wow. So it's not even after the fact. It's like
Right.
as they're going.
Right, as they're writing the code,
Yeah.
they're getting this feedback.
Amazing. So it's not just about catching errors. It's about guiding developers toward writing better code from the start.
Yeah, and you can just imagine how that would just accelerate the learning process.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing that really stood out to me, and we touched on it earlier, is that this entire operation happens locally on your computer.
Right.
No need to send your code to the cloud, which, can be a big concern for some people,
Right.
especially when it comes to privacy and security. Why is this local aspect so significant, especially for someone who might be working with sensitive data?
Well, data privacy, it's a huge concern for a lot of people these days.
Right.
And when everything's happening on your local machine,
Yeah.
you eliminate the risk of that information being transmitted
Okay.
or stored on these external servers.
That's all self-contained,
All self-contained,
right there on your machine.
right on your machines.
And for industries dealing with confidential data, healthcare, finance,
Oh, yeah.
this is a game changer.
It's huge.
Huge. Plus, think about the speed, right? Since everything's happening locally, you don't have to wait for data to be sent back and forth.
The latency is so much lower.
Yeah.
It's a way faster feedback loop.
It's like having a super smart coding buddy sitting right next to you, just whispering helpful tips in your ear.
I like that
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah. But I'm curious, how does this AI assistant actually work its magic?
Good question.
The source mentions two key components, Ollama.cpp and something called the DeepSeek R1 quantized model. Can you break those down for us? What are we even talking about here?
Ollama.cpp, think of it as the engine that powers the AI.
Okay.
It's this lightweight software program that can run large language models, the AI brains, essentially.
Yeah.
And it runs right on your device.
Okay.
And they've designed it to be super efficient.
So no need to invest in a supercomputer just to run this thing.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty amazing.
It can even run smoothly on just like a decent CPU.
Wow. And then what about DeepSeek?
DeepSeek R1, it's kind of like the AI's memory bank. It's this specially trained neural network that's also optimized to run locally. And it sifts through a local knowledge base.
Okay.
So things like past code reviews, coding guidelines, even internal documentation, to find relevant information, to help the AI understand the code being reviewed.
So it's doing its research before it gives feedback.
Exactly.
Like a human reviewer might consult documentation or look at previous examples.
It's like the AI is saying, okay, this code is about handling user authentication. Let me check if there are any company-specific rules or previous reviews I should look at before giving my feedback.
Oh, that's pretty smart. So it's
Yeah.
not just looking at the code in isolation.
No, not at all.
It's trying to understand the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And there's this cool thing with DeepSeek R1 called quantization, right?
Yeah, so without getting too technical, quantization basically means shrinking the model size without sacrificing accuracy.
So it's like taking a giant encyclopedia and condensing it into a pocket guide, but you're not losing the essential information.
That's a great analogy.
Perfect. So we have the engine, Ollama.cpp, and the memory bank, DeepSeek R1. How do they work together to actually analyze the code and give feedback? What's the process?
So imagine a developer has just finished writing some code and they're ready for a review. They feed that code snippet to the Copilot. The first thing it does is some pre-processing.
Okay.
Basically, it's translating the code into a format the AI can understand.
So like converting human language to a machine language.
Exactly.
Got it. So the code is prepped. Then what?
That's where DeepSeek R1 comes in. It uses that pre-processed code to search through that local knowledge base, all those past code reviews, guidelines, documentation we talked about, looking for anything relevant to that specific piece of code.
So the AI is really doing its homework.
Exactly. And once DeepSeek R1 has gathered all that information, it combines it with the original code and sends it over to Ollama.cpp.
Which is the engine.
Right, the engine that powers the language model.
Okay.
And this is where the magic happens.
That's where the AI analyzes everything and generates its feedback, right? So it's looking at the code itself and also all that context provided by DeepSeek R1
Exactly.
to come up with like a complete review.
A comprehensive review.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But how is all of this organized? The source material talks about this thing called an agentic framework. What is that and why is it important?
So an agentic framework, think of it like a well-organized team. Each agent has a specific task.
Okay.
They all work together to achieve this common goal. It's like a team of specialists, right? One focuses on research, one on writing, one on managing the project.
So breaking down a complex system into smaller, manageable chunks,
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. And what are the specific agents involved in this code review process?
The source mentions three main agents.
Yeah.
The retrieval agent, the generation agent, and the controller agent.
Okay, so based on the names, I'm guessing the retrieval agent is the one that does the research.
Yes.
The generation agent is writing the feedback, and the controller agent is like the project manager.
You got it.
Okay, cool.
The retrieval agent, powered by DeepSeek R1, that's the one finding all that context from the knowledge base.
Right.
The generation agent, that's the one using that large language model to craft the actual feedback based on the code and the context.
Okay.
And the controller agent, the conductor orchestrating everything.
This sounds so smart. Like it's not only easier to build, but also more flexible for future expansion.
Oh, absolutely.
Could you potentially add new agents in the future?
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe to handle other tasks like analyzing code style or security vulnerabilities?
Exactly. You could imagine an agent focused on accessibility or one that looks for performance bottlenecks. The possibilities are vast.
That's amazing. It's like having a whole team of AI-powered code review experts, each one with their own unique skills and expertise. But before we get too carried away, I want to make sure our listener understands how this AI provides such insightful feedback. We mentioned this retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG for short.
Right.
Can you remind us what that is and why it's so important?
So RAG, remember how DeepSeek R1 finds all that context from the knowledge base? Well, our RAG is taking that context and integrating it into the prompt that's fed to the language model.
Okay, so instead of just giving the AI the code and saying, figure it out, we're giving it this whole backstory.
Exactly.
A cheat sheet.
A cheat sheet.
To help it understand the
All
nuances
nuances, yeah.
of the project, the company's coding standards, all that stuff.
Exactly. Imagine you're trying to solve a mystery.
Right.
Would you rather have just one clue or a whole file full of clues and background information?
I'd want the whole file for sure.
Exactly. And it's the same with the AI. RAG takes its feedback to another level.
So RAG is like the secret sauce that makes this Copilot truly intelligent and valuable, right? It's not just about checking code. It's
Yeah.
about understanding the code in context. This
Yeah.
is already pretty impressive, but this article doesn't just talk about the concept, right? It actually gives you a step-by-step guide to building this local code review Copilot.
It does.
What kind of technical skills would someone need to bring this to life?
It's surprisingly accessible. You'll need some Python skills, which is a widely used programming language, and a little C++ for working with Ollama.cpp.
Okay, so a little coding experience.
Yeah, a little bit.
But not like rocket science.
Not rocket science.
And the article provides code examples and everything you need to follow along.
It does, step by step.
Perfect. They even talk about building an API. Can you remind us what an API is and why it's important here?
An API, it stands for Application Programming Interface, but it's basically a way for different software components to talk to each other. In this case, the API is the interface between the developer and the Copilot.
So like a translator.
Yeah, translator.
So developers can communicate with the AI without needing to know all the technical details.
Exactly.
I like that.
The article suggests using this framework called FastAPI, which is known for being pretty user-friendly.
Okay.
They provide code examples and walk you through building this API.
So the developer writes code, they send it to the API, and the API handles all the communication with the different agents,
That's right.
ultimately giving the developer the feedback.
Right back to the developer. And the beauty is that it can be integrated into all sorts of development tools.
Yeah.
Your favorite code editor, your version control system, even your team's chat platform.
Wow, that's incredible. So this Copilot could actually become part of your daily workflow. But of course, we need to talk about testing. No software project is complete without it, right?
Right. Especially something this complex.
What kind of testing is involved in building a system like this?
They talk about unit testing, where you test individual components in isolation,
Okay.
integration testing, making sure all the parts work together.
Yeah.
And then there's performance testing, which is really important to make sure it's fast and responsive.
Especially when you're dealing with large code bases.
Exactly.
And of course, user acceptance testing, getting real developers to try it out and give feedback.
That's crucial.
This has been an incredible overview.
Yeah.
And I'm just already imagining all the possibilities. But for our listener who's just starting to learn about this, what's the one big takeaway they should walk away with?
The big takeaway is this. The future of software development. It's intertwined with AI.
It's happening.
It's happening. But this isn't about replacing us. It's about giving developers like us powerful tools to do what we do best.
Right, like enhancing our capabilities.
Enhancing our capabilities. This local code review Copilot, it's a great example of how AI can make the whole development process more efficient and more enjoyable.
And with these advancements in local AI, we get all those benefits without sacrificing data privacy.
Absolutely.
Or relying solely on the cloud.
That's the beauty of it.
It's a win-win for developers and for the future of software development.
I couldn't agree more. This is just the beginning.
Now, we covered a lot of ground in this first part. We've talked about the why, the how, and all the amazing benefits of this local code review Copilot. But in part 2, we're going to get even more hands-on, exploring the actual code examples and guidance provided in the article.
Cool. Can't wait.
So if you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get a little technical, be sure to join us for part 2.
It's going to be great.
Welcome back. I'm still kind of geeking out over this whole local code review Copilot thing.
It's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is. So let's dive into the how-to, the nitty-gritty of actually building this thing.
Okay, let's do it.
The source material lays it all out step by step.
Yeah, almost like a recipe for developers.
Exactly. So if our listener wanted to create their own Copilot, where would they even start?
Well, just like any software project, it starts with setting up your development environment.
Okay.
You got to install all the necessary software tools and libraries.
Right, right.
The article specifically mentions Python 3.8 or later,
Okay.
which is, a pretty popular programming language.
Yeah, a lot of people use that.
And a few libraries that give you those pre-built functions and components.
Kind of like gathering all the ingredients before you start cooking.
Exactly.
And I remember they mentioned compiling that Ollama.cpp thing.
Right. That's the engine for running our AI model locally.
Right, right.
Can't forget that. And of course, we'd need to download the DeepSeek R1 quantized model.
Right, that efficient neural network designed for context retrieval. We talked about that before.
Yeah, it's a key piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so we've got our ingredients, we've got our tools. What's the next step in this recipe?
Now comes the really fun part, configuring that agentic framework we were discussing earlier,
Oh yeah, those specialized agents.
each with their own special role in the code review process.
They're like little AI specialists.
Exactly. And the source material actually provides sample Python code for each of the three main agents: the retrieval agent, the generation agent, and the controller agent.
Oh, that's awesome. So they're not just talking about it theoretically.
No, they're giving you the tools to actually do it.
So it's like they've given us blueprints for building our own team of AI experts.
Precisely.
So let's just quickly recap what each agent does just to refresh everyone's memory.
Sure.
The retrieval agent, that's our research guru, right?
That's right. It dives into the knowledge base to find all the relevant information. It takes the code snippet as input and then uses DeepSeek R1 to go through that local knowledge base, searching for anything that can provide context.
So it's looking at past code reviews, coding guidelines, even internal documentation.
All that. It's like the agent is saying, okay, let me see what I can find that relates to this piece of code.
And then we have the generation agent. That's the one that actually writes the feedback, right?
Spot on. The generation agent takes that code, along with all the context gathered by the retrieval agent, and uses the AI model to actually generate the review comments and suggestions. It's like the agent is saying, based on everything I know about this code and its context, here's what I think needs to be improved.
And then finally, the controller agent is our project manager making sure everything runs smoothly.
Exactly. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure all the agents are playing their parts in harmony and that the whole process flows smoothly.
And this modular design, it not only makes the system easier to build, but also incredibly adaptable for future expansion.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we could add even more agents down the line to handle those really specialized tasks,
Exactly.
like security checks or code style analysis or even automated refactoring. The possibilities are kind of endless.
The sky's the limit with this kind of framework.
Okay, so let's revisit this whole RAG pipeline concept, retrieval-augmented generation.
Right, RAG. It's all about giving the AI that cheat sheet before it takes the exam.
Yeah, providing all that juicy context, but how does it actually work in practice?
It all comes down to this process called embedding.
Embedding. Okay, that sounds technical.
It is a bit technical, but basically, think of an embedding as a numerical representation of the information in a document.
So we're translating words and concepts into numbers the AI can understand.
Exactly. And we create these embeddings for all the documents in our local knowledge base.
So past code reviews, coding guidelines, all that good stuff.
Yep, all of it. And then we store those embeddings in a way that allows the retrieval agent to quickly access them.
Okay. And the source mentioned something called a vector store. What is that?
It's basically a specialized database that's designed for storing and searching those embeddings.
Okay, so it's like a library where each book has this unique code that tells you its exact location on the shelves.
That's a perfect analogy. So when the retrieval agent needs context for a piece of code, it creates an embedding for that snippet and then searches the vector store, like looking up a book in the library.
Got it. And the vector store returns the most relevant information from the knowledge base, and that's used to create a really smart prompt for the AI model.
Exactly.
It's like we're saying, here's the code, and oh, by the way, here's everything we know about similar code, our coding standards, and any relevant best practices.
Give the AI all the clues.
It's amazing. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about how a developer actually interacts with this local code review Copilot. The article talks about building an API. Can you remind us what an API is and why it's important in this whole setup?
Sure. An API, or application programming interface, is basically a way for different software components to talk to each other.
Okay.
In this case, it's the interface between the developer and the Copilot.
So it's like the bridge that lets them communicate.
Exactly. The article suggests using this framework called FastAPI, which is really efficient and easy to use.
So even if you're not an API expert, you can still follow along and build this thing.
That's the idea.
So the developer writes their code, sends it to the API, and the API handles all the back and forth with the different agents, and then ultimately sends the feedback back to the developer.
Exactly.
And what's cool is that it can be integrated into so many different development tools.
Yeah, it could become a seamless part of the workflow.
Okay, so we've built this amazing Copilot. It's integrated into our workflow. But before we release any software, we need to test it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Testing is crucial, especially for something as complex as this.
What kind of testing do they talk about in the article?
They really emphasize thorough testing at every stage. They talk about unit tests, where you make sure each little part works correctly on its own.
Okay, like making sure each agent is doing its job.
Exactly. Then there's integration testing, where you check that all the different parts are working together harmoniously.
Right, so that the whole system flows smoothly.
Exactly. And they also talk about performance testing, making sure it stays fast, even when you're dealing with large code bases.
So it's not just about functionality, it's also about efficiency.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget user acceptance testing, where real developers actually get to try out the tool and give their feedback.
That feedback loop is crucial to make sure it's really meeting the needs of developers.
This all sounds super complex, but also really, really exciting. Do you need to be like an AI expert to actually build something like this?
You know, it definitely helps to have some familiarity with AI concepts, but the article does a really good job of breaking down the process into manageable steps.
Okay, so it's challenging, but not impossible.
Exactly. It's more like they've created a roadmap guiding you through each stage of the journey.
So it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely. Especially when you consider the rewards.
Right, having your own AI-powered code review assistant, that's pretty cool.
It's game-changing, really.
It is, but let's remember that this is still early days for this tech. What are some potential enhancements or future developments we might see for this Copilot down the line?
The source mentions some pretty exciting possibilities, like fine-tuning the AI models to specific code bases or coding styles. Imagine that.
Oh, wow. So companies could create their own custom Copilots.
Exactly. Tailored to their specific needs and standards. It's like having a code review expert that knows your company's code inside and out, always ready with the perfect advice.
That would be amazing. What else?
They also talk about developing even more specialized agents to handle things like security analysis, enforcing code style, even suggesting automatic refactoring. Imagine an agent that can automatically refactor your code to be more readable or more efficient.
Wow. It's like having a whole team of AI experts working with you, each with their own unique superpower.
And they're all there to make your life as a developer easier and more productive.
It's pretty incredible.
And to make it even better, they envision this more advanced user interface, maybe a web-based dashboard where developers can interact with the Copilot, see statistics, and customize the settings.
So it's not just about building this powerful tool, it's about making it user-friendly and accessible to everyone.
Exactly. Giving developers the control and flexibility they need to make this a truly integral part of their workflow.
This local code review Copilot, it's like a glimpse into the future of software development. A future where AI is not this separate thing, but a partner working alongside us, helping us write better code faster and more efficiently.
And it's a future that's within reach, right here, right now.
It's so exciting and a little bit overwhelming, to be honest.
I know what you mean,
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
but that's the beauty of it, right? We're all learning and exploring this new world together.
Exactly. And who knows what incredible innovations are just around the corner.
That's what makes it so thrilling.
All right, so we've gone deep into the technical weeds of how to build this amazing Copilot, but we're not done yet.
Yeah.
In part 3, we're going to step back and look at the bigger picture, the broader impact these local AI tools might have on the future of software development. What does it mean for the industry? How will it change the way we work and the software we create?
Big questions.
Big questions. We'll be back soon to tackle those.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the local code review Copilot. We've explored the why, the how, and even gotten a bit technical with how you'd build the thing. Now, I kind of want to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you know?
Yeah, step back a bit.
What does this whole emergence of these powerful local AI tools mean for the future of software development? I mean, where are we headed with this?
It's a really, really exciting time to be a developer, that's for sure. I think what we're seeing is this democratization of AI,
Okay, democratization.
making all these incredible capabilities available to a much wider range of people.
So it's not just like big tech companies with massive resources.
Exactly. With tools like Ollama.cpp and that DeepSeek model, even individual developers, small teams, startups, anyone can harness the power of AI right there on their own machines.
Without relying on expensive cloud infrastructure.
Right. And they don't have to share sensitive code with those third-party services.
It's huge, right? It kind of levels the playing field. It opens up a whole world of possibilities for innovation.
It really does. I'm already thinking about all the new tools and applications that people are going to be building now that they have access to this level of AI power.
I know. It's exciting. And think about the impact on education even. Students just starting out learning to code could have AI tutors helping them, giving them that personalized feedback and support.
Yeah, helping them learn those complex concepts so much faster. It could completely change the way we teach and learn programming.
Yeah, it's like having a 204/7 coding mentor right there on your computer, always ready to help when you get stuck.
Hmm.
But I feel like this is just the beginning, you know? We've been laser focused on code review, but what about other areas of software development? Where else could these local AI tools have a major impact? I mean, are there other applications?
Oh, absolutely. This Copilot, it's really just a small example of what local AI can do. These underlying technologies, those
Yeah.
efficient inference engines, the modular frameworks, you can apply them to so many other tasks in the whole software development lifecycle.
Okay, so give me some examples. What are we talking about here? What else can we see emerging from this local AI revolution?
Well, imagine like AI-powered tools for automated testing that can just generate test cases like that and find bugs super fast.
Mm.
Or AI-driven code generation tools that can write all that boilerplate code for you.
Mhm.
Or even suggest entire blocks of code based on what you're trying to do.
Okay, yeah.
We could even see AI being used to analyze code for security vulnerabilities, right?
Proactively.
Proactively,
Okay.
exactly, before they become these huge problems.
That would be amazing. So it's like, it really is having a whole team of AI assistants working alongside developers, helping at every single stage. And because these tools run locally, developers still have full control over their data, over their whole workflow, right?
Absolutely. You don't have to send sensitive code to the cloud or worry about being connected to the internet to use these powerful tools.
Yeah. It really feels like a huge shift in how we think about software development towards something more secure, way more efficient, and just more empowering.
I completely agree. It's a whole new way of thinking about coding.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or challenges we should be thinking about as we embrace this local AI revolution? Like, what could go wrong?
Well, every new technology has its challenges. One thing to consider is making sure that these AI models are constantly being updated.
Right.
Coding languages are always changing, best practices evolve, new security threats pop up all the
So
time.
we can't just build these tools and just forget about them, right?
No, no, we need to actively keep working on them, improving them.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. And we also have to remember that AI tools, they're supposed to help us, you know? They're not supposed to replace human developers altogether.
That's a really important point. It's about finding that right balance.
Exactly. We still need that human judgment. Developers need to stay in control of the process, of the direction of the software they're building.
It's a collaboration, not a replacement.
Exactly.
Well, this has been such an incredible journey exploring this whole world of local AI and the local code review Copilot.
It really has.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with? The one big takeaway?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that local AI has the power to completely transform how we develop software. And it goes way beyond just automating things. It's about giving developers the power to innovate,
Yeah.
to create amazing things. And it's about making the whole process more efficient, more secure, and just more accessible to everyone.
It's a whole new era of coding,
It is.
and it's filled with possibilities.
It's so exciting.
It's also a little daunting, to be honest, to think about all the changes that are coming.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
But that's part of the fun, right? We're all learning and exploring this new world together.
Exactly.
And who knows what incredible innovations we'll see in the coming years.
I can't wait to find out.
Well, on that note of excitement and anticipation for the future of coding, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the local code review Copilot.
Yeah, that's a good place to stop.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. And until next time, happy coding, everyone!